on the topic of discussion. Now, this morning, we're discussing an area where COVID-19 has greatly impacted this sector. At one time, it was total lockdown, and all we had were maybe United Nations jets coming into the country. That is the effects of COVID-19 on the aviation industry. We had total closure, then we had reopening, and as we speak, due to Omicron variant, we still now see some of the flights not coming to Uganda or not leaving Uganda to go to some of these parts of the world, most so being the United Arab Emirates, which on the 25th had a ban of some countries, and on the 28th, there came Uganda, and I think it was Ghana. Now with me to discuss this that is the Principal Public Affairs Officer, that is Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, and that is Mr. Otim Kenneth, with whom we are going to be discussing more. Kenneth, it is a pleasure having you once again, though this time we are not going to be discussing more of what it was the other time, how we are preparing for the reopening. Yes. But now this time we have also a ban on some of our flights. Otherwise, how has aviation been?
Good morning, viewers. Aviation has been, I should say, picking up during the festive season. But again, we are limited by the closures from the United Arab Emirates. We were doing well since October. We were recovering. November was also a good month. December, we went through Christmas as good as any traveler would wish to be at the destination where they want to have Christmas. But on 28th December, United Arab Emirates closed flights from Entebbe. And yet most of our passengers were flying much to the United Arab Emirates. So I would say aviation has had a gradual growth, recovery since the pandemic in 2019. Yes.
Well, talking about this recovery, of course, we know that many countries have a number of, that is, gatekeeping in the times of COVID-19. And of course, we know this ban did not only apply to Uganda, it went to Kenya. You can just remind me of a few of these countries. I know of Kenya, Zambia as well, where the Mozambique,
South Africa. Yes. So on the 25th of December, United Arab Emirates first closed out Nigeria, they closed out South Africa, they closed out our neighbors Kenya, they closed out Ethiopia, they closed out Mozambique. So they issued a warning to Uganda. They were like, we are having many cases of COVID coming to Dubai, and they were wondering what was happening at Entebbe International Airport. Immediately, as Uganda Civil Aviation Authority with our stakeholders at the airport, the Minister of Health, the Port Health, we had a discussion on how best we can really try to ensure that we have no case of COVID that is being registered on arrival at Dubai International Airport. But on the 28th, we received a circular, and this started with Emirates. Emirates was already on its way to Entebbe to pick passengers, only to be told that they cannot pick passengers from Entebbe to Dubai. So it only brought in the inbound, and it went without passengers. So we really had a very big task to talk to the passengers that had already come to the airport and were ready to fly to Dubai. Then also Uganda Airline had a flight the next day, and equally passengers were wondering whether they would fly to Dubai the next day, and we had to convey the information to Uganda Airlines, and Uganda Airlines issued a notice to its passengers. Only Air Arabia, which flies to Sharjah, which is another Emirates of Dubai, was able to fly the following day. You know, the United Arab Emirates has got 7 Emirates, but the biggest of that is Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah. So Air Arabia, which flies 7 times from Entebbe to Sharjah, was the only one that was able to fly the next day, and up to now it's the only airline that is flying. But our Uganda Airlines, our Emirates, our Kechu, our Air Rwanda, Ethiopia, they have been barred to fly to the United Arab Emirates until further notice when we shall get that communication.
What's the impact of this in the aviation industry? These flights, of course, Dubai is one of, I think, our second destination of choice,
Yes,
Ugandans,
yes.
and of course, for the business community, many away from China, Dubai is another area where they at least go and get goods and all this. So what is the impact?
First of all, you look at, as you have said, Dubai is one of our business trading center. And when you talk about our business people trying to go to Dubai to bring in goods and also our labor exports. So I will start by saying our labor exports have been affected because most of the young girls and boys have been going through Dubai to the various destinations that we are heading. But now they are only limited to Sharjah. And the business is not really in Sharjah, it is in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So it has had an impact on the passenger traffic to the United Arab Emirates. Because if you talk about that you're only allowing the inbound to Entebbe, that means that only those that either had gone already to the United Arab Emirates like Dubai to have a festive season there are the ones coming back. Then the best maybe is to carry underberry, that's cargo, back to Dubai. But we have really suffered a loss in terms of revenue as Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, because remember we have got two types of revenue, that is aeronautical and non-aeronautical. So if I talk about aeronautical, that percentage we get from a passenger ticket, now it has gone down because of the reduced numbers of passengers flying to Dubai. So it has got a financial impact on the authorities, Civil Aviation Authority, but also the airlines, because the airlines like Uganda Airlines, they are really picked up with flying to Dubai. Most of the airlines during the festive season were fully booked. I would say fully booked. Now, if the season where you're supposed to make money,
more, yes,
yeah, and then
it's the peak of business.
Yes, the peak of business. Then you have been stopped. That will be a loss to the airline. So it has really affected both the authority and also the airlines. And then, of course, our companies exporting labor, they are not doing business. So it has really had a very financial impact and economic impact to the country.
Kenneth, let's also understand, when I was reading this circular that was sent in by the United Arab Emirates, it had issues of people leaving Uganda, reaching Dubai, and they are testing positive of COVID-19. What are some of these remedies to such, or what are the measures that you've put in place as the Civil Aviation Authority to guard against this? Because they did not just come out of the blue. First, it was a warning that when we look at passengers coming in from Uganda, we are seeing increase of cases of COVID-19. What aren't we doing right, or where are the loopholes?
First of all, I want to say that our testing laboratories are doing us a disservice.
Okay.
Because we at the airport, we are supposed to authenticate that certificate that is given to a passenger when he's traveling. For example, to go to the United Arab Emirates, you need 2 negative PCR certificates, one which is 48-hour and one which is a 6-hour. Now, you realize that some of the laboratories, which I will not mention, they give a passenger a negative PCR certificate, COVID PCR certificate, which yet they are positive. So when they reach at the airport, our port health is to ensure that is this an authentic certification from an accredited laboratory. So we will not know by that time that either the person is positive. So we let the person proceed to the check counters, which they also do the verification, and then they board. Now, on arrival in Dubai, just like it is at Entebbe International Airport, they test the passenger. And here they find the passenger positive with COVID-19. So you can imagine if a flight of 340, that's a Boeing, arrived in Dubai, and you have 100 sick you would wonder what is happening at Entebbe International Airport. So of recent, we had to arrest some of passengers. They carried 2 certificates, for example. One had positive and one had negative. So the passenger decides to pull out one which has negative. But when we did investigation on the documents they were carrying, we were like, why are you carrying 2 certificates? So our security had to mount an investigation into that. And we are telling the public, the traveling public, that should you come with a forged certificate, then we are going to arrest you, and then you lead us to the person who is giving you a negative PCR, yet you have been suffering from COVID. So that is the area where we need to improve. Our laboratories should be patriotic and ethical to give people negative PCR when they are negative.
Government took over testing those that are coming in to the country, and have we had any such cases that maybe also the tests carried out by government manning this, also we have such incidents?
You see, I really don't agree with what, for example, the United Arab Emirates did to close flights because of COVID cases. Even at Entebbe International Airport, we are receiving the positives.
Because it's us now, government.
Yes.
Because to our viewer, maybe to throw more light,
yes,
those leaving Uganda have private, there's a private public partnership, isn't it?
Yes.
Where there are companies that were contracted to test in case you're leaving the country.
Yes.
But if you're coming into the country, that is government of Uganda through Ministry of Health that is doing the checking, the COVID-19 tests. So what we want to get clear, for that country, for the United Arab Emirates, that said, okay, due to a number of cases, testing positive and they are from Uganda, meaning there is a loophole in Uganda. So what is the reverse for those coming from the United Arab Emirates? Are they coming in fully tested and they are testing negative?
You see, the first case in Uganda of COVID was coming from Dubai.
Very true. The guy who had gone to pick screensavers and things like that.
Yes.
Phone accessories.
Yes. And equally, some of the arrivals from Dubai test positive. And that's why I was saying that since from every destination there are positives that we register, then what's the solution? Is the solution, shall we keep on closing flights because we have got a positive? Many variants are going to come. And if that's the way forward, that we get positives, we close, are we going to be in business? So I think we need collaboration and coordination from countries to ensure that we improve on our port health processes, and then be with the measures on how to contain the positives that we register at airports. Either we quarantine them or we try to follow them up and we see to their recovery. Others, if we are going to continue closing one another because of positives, then I don't know how long it's going to take the aviation to recover. So for us at Entebbe International Airport, we have ensured that we put in place our SOPs, the standard operating procedures. We are very serious with them because we want to limit this transmission. Then our port health, on departure, we ensure that people should be with negative PCR. And by the way, we encourage our passengers to give enough time to our port health. We don't like a passenger to come panicking, you have come late, and then you don't give us enough time to check your PCR certificates. Come a bit early, you go through our security, you go through our port health, so that we verify your document authentically before you travel. And of course, those coming to the country, at first, we had to keep them at the airport for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. But because of politics, politicians were like, we should leave the passengers continue to their final destination. But what have we got out of this? You have seen the rate of infection has gone high. Yet at the airport, now you go to Heathrow, passengers are spending close to 4 hours on arrival to Heathrow at Heathrow International Airport. so that the government carries out that thorough check of passengers. So equally, this is a learning point that we need to take our port health on arrival, very important. Yes.
We know we are now heading into full reopening of our economy. As the Aviation Authority, what are your expectations?
First of all, you have asked me that question, but I also want to pose this one as a way of answering you. Do you think we are on the course to reopen the economy? According to you, do you think we should open the economy fully? You see?
Well, my opinion would be it is a painful joy. It is an avoidable evil. Yes.
Yes, I think we need to open the economy because COVID is here to stay with us. But we need to manage the public expectation, because when the president says we are going to open the economy in a gradual process, do you know what is the mind of Ugandans? We are going back to our bars, we are going back to our concerts.
Freestyle.
Freestyle. And they forget that we still have COVID. But for them, they are like, we are going back to our freestyle. That's the expectation of the public. Now, as the public thinks that way, stakeholders should also be in a position to at least assist the Minister of Health to ensure that the biggest number of persons are vaccinated. We should have very cheap testing centers for COVID. And then at least we should ensure that those that are traveling, really are negative. Like when the president talks about that those that will be entering the transport, your ente matatu to travel, they should have a vaccination card. People are like, really, is the president talking about what is doable? How do you travel?
How practical is this?
How practical is this to travel in a bus? Then somebody asks you for your vaccination certificate. I'm telling you, this is going to be the way forward. Right now, Kenya says for you to go to Kenya, you have to be fully vaccinated with the vaccination certificate. So the vaccination certificate is going to be another passport that is required from a passenger. So I request that those that are viewing us here to take vaccination very important. You're going to be limited to travel without a vaccination certificate. So they will require you to have a passport, a fully vaccination certificate, and the negative PCR. So those are the expectations that we in the sector, we need to inform our travelers. They should know that very soon, without a vaccination certificate, you will not travel. So back here in the country, the Minister of Health should emphasize vaccination and also availability of cheap testing centers. Because if we make testing expensive, people will fear to go and test themselves. But it's like if I feel I have malaria, I go to the clinic. I take a test to find out really whether
is it malaria or something.
So that should be the way forward. And of course, government should be prepared to open up regional centers. What if the rate of transmission goes high? What are we going to do? So for us in aviation, we are prepared for this.
Okay, very prepared there. Vaccination certificate is something that you should have. Well, at this time, I want to come to you, our viewer, and that is the number on your screen. You can use all our social media platforms. And I will be reading out your questions to the guest I have in studios with the principal, that is Communication Officer, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, Kenneth Otim, with whom we are discussing effects of COVID-19 on the aviation industry, more so in Uganda, where I've just been discussing, that is the ban on flights from Uganda to the United Arab Emirates, one of our key destinations as people leaving Uganda to that, more so for the business community. Many of them, that is where they go and have some of these imports that we cherish in our country. So you can use our social media platforms, but also our WhatsApp number, that is 0709602592. Or you can also send us an SMS, the traditional way. I'll be reading out those messages to you, and of course my guest will be responding. Kenneth.
Yes, please.
Also interesting when we look at the Aviation Authority, it is growing very fast globally, despite the fact of Omicron and COVID-19. Looking at our very own here in Uganda, how are we positioning ourselves to better benefit? Yes, recently we acquired those more fleet, but also when you look at the competition globally, now here we have even a number of airlines, but we also have other countries that do that. We have other countries that have better airports. Yes, we've done some refurbishing here, the new construction, but still, how better? Are we matching with the speed?
Aviation is growing at a very fast rate. It is growing at a very fast rate in a way that if we don't catch up with the rest of the world, then you will not be able to compete as an airport, as airlines. So technology, first of all, now like at Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, we are trying to ensure that we match with the current technology. For example, our airport operations, we call what we call the Terminal Operation Control Center. Our operations are automated in that once we automate our airport operations, then we are able to ensure that we give a secure, safe and efficient services to our passengers. You see, airports, we are audited on the way we facilitate passengers. So if we give a passenger a smooth facilitation through the airport, then we are able to meet their expectations. A passenger will come to Uganda with expectations. You fail to meet those expectations, then they will rank you. So we are using technology to do our airport operations. Of course, we now have also, like Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, we are looking at the increased business, commercial goods and products. So in this January, we are transferring operations from the old cargo to the new cargo center. So we are moving from a 60,000 tons cargo area to 100,000 tons cargo area, because business-wise, the goods and products coming in have increased. So we are going to relocate by the 10th of January. We are starting to relocate from the old cargo center to the new cargo center. So our friends in business should know about that. Then, of course, there is something that people have not been informed about, the certification of agricultural products. EU, in most cases, has been banning Uganda agricultural products because they have not been certified. So we encourage those that intend to carry their matoke, those that want to carry their ansenene, those that want to carry their guineas, to have them certified by MAIF, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. So once you arrive at your final destination, you show the certification, the agricultural certification, then people will allow you to enter with those products. Otherwise, if you go without a certification, if you nick out, they will say, please leave these items here. The food authority comes in to check whether they are really safe to enter that country, then you collect them later. So we are trying to see that aviation, technology, we have to match with the technology, we have to match with the requirements of our commercial goods and products. We have to match with the passenger expectations that are increasing. So we have to automate our airports. And I have to say that very soon we are going to see that the passenger feedback is important for the business changes in airports and the airlines. Yes.
Well, Kenneth, let me look at some of the messages that are coming in. Thank you so much for giving us this feedback. We don't take it for granted, really appreciate. Now, I'll begin with, that is Silva. Good morning, I'm Obonye Silva from Ginger. Why don't they make it mandatory to all passengers to do testing within the airport to avoid fake PCR results? Thank you, Silva. That is to you, Kenneth. Then, thanks for the show. Is vaccination card same as vaccination certificate? That is Rogers in Ishaka. Well, Kenneth will be able to respond to that as well. Good morning, Robert. I'm George from Bali. Why can't Civil Aviation Authority have its own facility or lab to carry out that testing? Still another one. Hello, I was vaccinated at Sekiwunga village. You turn off from Nakirembe on Masaka Road. Was supposed to get my second jab on the 10th of December 2021, but to date they have never come back to give us a second jab. And without security, it seems some people just use money getting a vaccination card. Now how can I get my second jab? Well, this could be maybe for the Ministry of Health, but I think also Kenneth, maybe somehow. And finally, let me do with this one. Please give us your name. It really helps us when we get your name. He says what is being done to those companies. And also, thanks for your updates about travels. What about Saudi Arabia? Are flights open or suspended as well? I'm Okape from Tororo. Let's go with this for now.
Oh, those are very good questions. And the first was, why can't Civil Aviation open up a testing center at the airport? Airports all over the world have got what we call a port health terminal. At Entebbe International Airport, we are limited with operating facilities. That airport, constructed in 1973-74, was supposed to handle a total of 2,500 persons that go through. Now I'm talking about 1.98 million passengers. So you see that our facilities are limited with a growing number of passengers. That is why we are going for the phase 2 of the extension of the airport facilities. We are transferring the old cargo to the new cargo place, so that we create room for construction of a 20,000 square meter of a new terminal. Now, in that terminal, we are going to have a port health area. So all what our viewers are saying, that why can't we have testing at the airport? Maybe we shall have enough space to have testing for those coming in and for those going out. But at the meantime, we are constrained with space. Now, if you are allowing people to come and test at the airport, I don't know whether we can really accommodate that population with the population that is coming in, the population going out at peak time. So those are the things we are looking at in the future. We have to appreciate that government really gave us a testing facility for those coming in before they were going to the private laboratories at the beach issue at a cost of $65. Now government is charging them $30, equivalent to 110,000 Uganda shillings. So I think making testing facilities cheap for travelers will help us as a way forward. So once we finish up our new terminal extension, then we can have a port health terminal for the inbound and outbound.
Well, our brother asked about Saudi Arabia. He needs clarity on that.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia flights are open. People are traveling. Air Arabia comes here and takes people to Saudi Arabia. Then there was a question, is a vaccination card
same as the vaccination certificate?
Yeah, it is. Yes. The vaccination card is also same as a vaccination certificate. Yes.
Because I remember when I got my first jab, got my second jab, I wanted a certificate. But then my second dose wasn't, I think, included. So they told me to be patient until it's included, then I can have a vaccination certificate.
a card. The word is a card. Until you're fully vaccinated, that's when they certify you. So it becomes your vaccination certificate. You have a card. You go for the first dose. They write in there, Robert has taken a dose, come back after 2 weeks. You go after 2 weeks, they certify that you're now fully vaccinated.
Is there an additional document you can download that's on the Ministry of Health portal? You download and then you get a certificate. You could have the 2 doses, and your card indicates you got your first jab, you got your second jab. But the ministry issues a certificate.
Yes, the ministry.
So at the airport,
yes,
or anywhere, what is required? If I have a card, yes, that has 2 vaccines,
yes,
2 indicates the stickers that they are vaccinated twice,
yes,
is that enough, or have to have the other certificate where the ministry captures first, second, then you can go and download it?
Yeah, because when you have that card, every time, it's like an immunization card for your child. When you go there, they put a sticker. You go the second time, either they sign, and once you have finished your dosage, they stamp. Now, the details on that card is also put in the data of the Ministry of Health. So, once you come to the airport, this is what we shall be doing. You say your vaccination certificate is number this. When we put it in the system, is it captured by the Ministry of Health that Robert was fully vaccinated? Because
every card has a serial number.
Yes.
That they can just...
Yes. So the ministry will enter that data, that information into their data that Robert is fully vaccinated. Just like you see the passport.
And that is the certificate,
yes,
that you are talking about. A bit different from that is the vaccination card, but that is the certificate issued when you're fully vaccinated, and the ministry has it.
Yes.
But also want to urge the ministry, I think, to expedite that process, because there are a number of people, this goes to the Ministry of Health, that got their first dose and could be captured their first jab. But I think the entry speed is a bit low. Many people, when they go to the Ministry of Health portal to get that certificate, as you see it, that is the card that the minister is holding. Yes. Yes. But then the other one is a bit different because of the certificate. So please expedite the process. Data entry process at the ministry must be at least expedited so that people can easily, if where need be and need the other certificate, then they can get it. But Kenneth, in the interest of time, as we wind up this show, this is something that I want you to clarify on. In public interest, there was a rumor that our airport had been taken over. That is by the government of China, having gotten a loan from them. That's the Exim Bank, and maybe they were saying we're below the time of payment, and it seems it's going to be taken. Just clarifying on this.
It's not true that really the China government or the Exim Bank took over Entebbe International Airport. We got a loan from the Exim Bank at an interest of 2%, the cheapest at that time, okay? And the loan was $325 million. We have used $200 for the first phase, and the rest will be used in the second phase. They gave us a grace period of 7 years, just paying the interest, which I think the grace period ends in 2022. After that, we shall start paying the principal of the loan for a period of 20 years, okay? So just like you go to a bank and they want to know your financial performance, are you able to pay a loan? So it is what the bank says, is government. First of all, government is the borrower. We are the user. But they want to see whether the government will be able to repay this loan, and therefore they have to look at the accounts of Civil Aviation Authority, okay? So, but for government to get money from the bank, it had to deposit some money. Whereby, in case, I'm saying in case, anybody fails to pay, maybe that's where the buffer account, they go there, pick the money to put on the monthly or annual payment. But we have not reached even that level. The buffer account, nobody has touched it. We have been remitting that interest as on the due dates, and the buffer account has not yet been touched at all. So I'm not seeing a situation where Uganda Civil Aviation Authority at one time will have a problem of paying back this money. Why? Because we have not even touched the buffer account.
Okay.
And we are even with this COVID pandemic, at least we have been able to operate, although not well as we used to operate in 2019 and below. But we are doing well, we are performing well, and with the gradual growth of the aviation recovering from the pandemic, I know we shall be in position to pay this loan for a period of 20 years as we utilize the loan to improve our services at the airport.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. Let me have your final remarks regarding aviation in Uganda and, of course, how safe we can move on to avoid maybe any likelihoods of other bans from flights leaving Uganda.
I'm going to take this opportunity to request our traveling public, one, to ensure that they are fully vaccinated. Yes, you saw a vaccination card which has to be certified by the Ministry of Health that you're fully vaccinated. Worldwide, those that are going to be using the air transport will be required to present a vaccination card on top of a negative PCR certificate. The PCR certificate, the test that you go and they give you a negative PCR certificate. You're required to have two, a vaccination certificate. Somebody was asking a card and a certificate. So you'll be showing your card. But in the system of the Ministry of Health, they will even give you a certificate to confirm what is in your card. And then you will have a negative PCR certificate, the testing you do before you travel. So those two are going to be important requirements for people to travel. Even if you have your passport, your ticket, without those two, sometimes you will not end up in the destination that you want. So I encourage the public to get fully vaccinated, to make travel, air transport travel for you to be smooth to wherever you're going. So that is going to be the way forward for our passengers.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Kenneth Otim, who is the Principal Public Affairs Officer, Civil Aviation Authority, for having phone time. Very important is vaccination. There is no way you can escape vaccination. Otherwise, the world may turn into a tight corner for you. For you to move, even by road transport, vaccination. So let's embrace vaccination for you, for your own personal safety, so that you fight that is severe illness, death, and hospitalization, but also for you to easily transact business. This is where the world has reached. Vaccination is a must. So let's embrace vaccination. We continue to urge government and the Ministry of Health in particular to ensure that it is readily available at almost every health facility that is owned by government. Have a lovely day. Wish you the best of the day. Till tomorrow, God bless you.
The global COVID-19 pandemic led the nation to 2 years of unprecedented learning, disruptions, and closures. Now